Okay, people, and especially black people, people of color, period. When you guys get your jury summonses, stop bitching and moaning, get in there and serve. The reason I say that is because of white people being overrepresented on juries, especially in the recent police shooting cases. Damn near in every case where an officer was actually arraigned and brought to trial, the majority of the juries that sit in judgment of that police officer are white. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. In the Michael Slager case, of the 12 jury members, 11 of them were white. There were 5 white women, 6 white men, and 1 black, you want to call him a man. The guy was gay, but you know, that's, his physiology was male, so I'm calling him a man. The outcome of that trial obviously was a hung jury. Officer Randall Kerrick killed Jonathan Ferrell. His trial ended up being a hung jury. There were 5 white women, 2 black women, 1 Hispanic woman, 2 white males, 1 black male, and 1 Hispanic male. So you had 7 white people that were on the jury, and if you throw the 2 Hispanics in, you got 9. In the case of Ray Tenzing, who killed Sam DuBose, you had 4 white women, 2 black women, and 6 white males, making the jury make up 10 white people, 2 black people, another hung jury. Another case where Keith Sandy and Dominguez Perez killed James Boyd, the jury makeup was 6 white men, 3 Hispanic men, 1 Native American, and 2 they didn't classify. So, you know, other than them not being white, you know, and not being black or Hispanic or Native American, they could have probably been Asian. That also ended in a mistrial. Officer Michael Eddington killed David Latham. His jury makeup was 5 white men, 3 white women, 1 black woman, 1 Asian woman, and 2 black men. So you have basically 8 out of the 12. In the case of Jody Ledoux, who killed Raymond Keith Martinez, for some reason, that jury makeup was only 6. So it must not have been an actual murder trial. It was probably a manslaughter case. The jury makeup there was 4 white women and 1 black woman and 1 black man. That office, Jody Ledoux, was found not guilty. Oh, and I forgot to mention Michael Eddington, who killed David Latham, he ended up being found not guilty. And finally, Lisa Merkel, who killed David Kasich, and this person was white. The jury makeup was 3 white women, 6 white men, 1 black man, 1 Asian man and one Hispanic man, and he was found not guilty. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you have a predominantly white jury, the chances of a police officer being convicted are slim to none. And if you've been keeping track of the Walter Scott, Michael Slager case, you can see what I'm talking about. There were 12 jurors, obviously, 11 and 1. One of the jurors stated specifically that there was no way that he was going to convict Michael Slager, and then another person joined him and said that they had a problem in convicting Mr. Slager. Now, if those two people hadn't been on that jury, the other 10, of which 6 were voting for a conviction of either manslaughter or murder, so that would have left 4. Those 4 obviously were leaning towards the conviction, but those 2 people were the ones that caused the hung jury. Normally, in just about every case, the racial makeup of the jury doesn't reflect the local demographics. Given that trial in South Carolina, with it having a heavy African American demographic, there is no way in the world that there should have been 11 white people on that jury and only 1 black person. How does stuff like that happen? Well, normally what happens is attorneys have a lot of influence over the racial composition of jurors through a process that is known as voir dire. In voir dire, they question prospective jurors about their personal backgrounds or positions on issues that could affect their ability to be impartial in a case. During this process, lawyers may strike a juror for cause if they determine he or she could not deliver a fair verdict. Attorneys are also given a number of so-called preemptory strikes, which allow them to eliminate jurors without needing to explain why. Now, this was tackled by the Supreme Court in 1986, where they made a ruling that it was unconstitutional for attorneys to dismiss potential jurors for reasons based on race or gender. But that's almost impossible to prove. A report was done that notes that filling juries with a disproportionate number of white people could benefit law enforcement, as white Americans are more likely to express pro-law enforcement views than non-white Americans, and they are less likely to be acquainted with or sympathetic to issues of race and policing that many see as integral to these cases. 68% of white respondents reportedly have favorable views of local police in a poll released in early December, compared with only 40% of African Americans and 59% of Hispanics. The report further noted that ample scholarship suggests police and Americans more generally are more likely to exaggerate the threat they face from black individuals. Officers also are more likely to use force, including lethal force, on black suspects, even when the suspects are unarmed, according to research done by the Center for Policing Equity. White jurors may be less inclined to discuss race when deliberating charges against an officer simply because it doesn't occur to them. The whole system doesn't look like the people who come through it, said Stephen Bright, a lecturer at Yale Law School and president of the Southern Center for Human Rights. He noted that 95% of the nation's elected state and local prosecutors are white, according to a 2014 study, along with 80% of state judges. When even the jurors don't look like the people coming before them as parties and witnesses, how can courts have any credibility with the community? The answer is they can't. So, people, black people, when you get that jury summons, please, please, do your civic duty, report, so that you can become part of a poll, so they can't so easily create these super white majorities in these juries that are finding these police officers either innocent or standing their ground and sticking to the I can't convict this guy. Why? Because he's a white police officer. And they said that we were in a post-racial era. Yeah, right.